This is kind of a different video I am doing today. This is going to be my top 5 favorite video game controllers. Now, I'm going to make kind of a rule here. I'm not going to be counting current controllers. I'll be talking that right now. I like the Xbox One controller, but I hate that it doesn't have a built-in rechargeable battery. There are rechargeables I can buy, but the ones that I'm familiar with are not that great. They don't stay locked in, so they seem to come loose fairly easily, and that's kind of annoying, especially in multiplayer games. The PS4 controller is awesome, and it improves upon everything that was not so great about the PS3 controller. But that stupid light bar is a major distraction. I know why it's there, but I wish I could turn it off as opposed to just having it dim. And also being able to dim it should have been a day one option, not a patch. And the Switch controller it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it fits perfectly in the palm of your hands, and it feels great. Also, I will only be doing first-party controllers. I will be not including third-party controllers or pro controllers. So, those with the exception of the first controller. This is some Paladins gameplay on PS4. I was gonna do a video of this back a while ago, but I just I've never gotten around to it, so I might do it. So I do a video on the game. So if you want to see it, let me know, and let me know in the comments, and just give it a like, and I will I'll probably still cover this game in the future. Like, I'll use it for gameplay for updates. But anyway, we are coming up on the number 5 controller, and number 5 is gonna be the original Xbox S controller. Now, I know people are more familiar with the giant Duke controller, as it's called, and it's actually, from what I've heard, getting a re-release, but that controller was just too big. It was just not very, it wasn't a very practical controller, whereas the S controller improved upon in what was needed to be fixed there. I know people will say, oh, why not the 360 controller? That was the best controller of the last console generation. The battery pack in that controller was just awkward to use, and I couldn't get a comfortable grip on it. And I know they were wired controllers, but I wanted to go with this one because they're very similar, with the exception of there being no shoulder buttons on the original Xbox controller. Anyway, number 4 here. This is going to be one that a lot of people from my generation are probably familiar with, the N64 controller. I know it's kind of awkward to use nowadays, but it's a very nostalgic controller to me. I grew up with the controller as a kid. It brings back a lot of memories of playing GoldenEye, Mario Kart, Mario Party, and I even still sometimes use it to this day, like playing Smash with friends, or even there's a video game bar in my city, and whenever we go there, we're usually playing Mario Kart 64, which is the best. It's still the best Mario Kart in my opinion. Anyway, moving on to number 3. Number 3 will be the PlayStation 2 controller. Now, I know what some people are thinking, why not the PS3 controller? That was wireless and basically the same thing. The PS3 controller triggers sucked. I don't think there is a single person on the Earth, on this planet, that will say that will defend those triggers. They were too sensitive. It made placing the controller awkward, like especially if you're trying to watch a movie or a video on YouTube. You would start fast forwarding when you set down the controller or just nudged it. The PS2 controller just felt great. And it's still, and also I know some people would say go with the PS1 controller because the design basically hasn't changed. There's been subtle tweaks, but the feel has been the same. But I went with the PS2 controller because the original PlayStation 1 controller didn't even have analog sticks. The analog sticks came later. So that's why I went with the PlayStation 2 controller.
15 seconds remaining.
Because then I don't have to specify, do I mean the original PS1 controller or the PS1 controller that came later. So number 3 is the PlayStation 2 controller. Now coming up at number 2, we have... I really should have timed this out better. Yeah. But anyway, coming up at number 2, we have the GameCube controller. I could have gone either way with this or the PS2 controller. But I had to go with the GameCube controller because it is just a... When a controller is years old and they re-release it for the purpose of playing Smash Bros on Wii U, you know the controller is good. It is a very solid controller for especially for, again, Smash Brothers fans. Or yeah, it does feel a little bit. It did feel weird at first, but once I got used to it, it was like, this is probably the best dual stick controller, and I don't know if I can use anything else. Yeah, the C stick is smaller, but when you get this down to it, it's near perfect, and it's my second favorite controller, whereas we're going into my number 1 favorite controller of all time. It is the Super Nintendo controller. Now, I am a big fan of fighting games, and the SNES controller, in my opinion, is, aside from an arcade stick, the best controller for fighting games. It fits perfectly in the hands. All your buttons are there. They're nice. They're spaced out well. And it was the console that had the more superior versions of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. Yes, Mortal Kombat 1 didn't have the blood on the Super Nintendo version, but the Genesis controller just didn't compare. Like, you had to use select to block on the Genesis controller, whereas here it was one of the face buttons, so it was just a lot. It was basically just the superior fighting game controller, and that's why it's number 1. Also, it's just very solid, and you can still, and it's still a great controller. Like, the other controllers now are still great controllers in my opinion, but there's kind of issues with some of them here and there when going back to using them. Like, this N64 controller only has the 1 stick. The PS2 controller just feels a bit flimsy. The original Xbox controller, there's no shoulder buttons. Instead, it's 2 more face buttons. But the Super Nintendo controller is one that I can easily pick up again and just use no problem without having to adjust, because it's just very well built. It's very solid, and I just love the controller. So that's it for my rambling on video game controllers. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on my next video, which I'm probably not going to have another one this week. We'll just see what happens. And later.
"15 seconds remaining. 10, 9, 8,